Hello, hello, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry, Onikakushi. Let's get going. Sleepy.
ケイチくんでっかいあくび。
Wow, that was a really big yawn, Keiichi-kun. I'm usually awake once it's time to eat, but it doesn't look like I can do it today.
ゆうべ遅くまでテレビ見てたら眠くて。
I was watching TV until late last night. I'm so tired right now.
ケイちゃんが喜びそうな番組なんかやってたっけ？
Was one of those raunchy TV shows you love so much on last night?
鉄線版でございますわ。
How extremely vile!
ちょっと待て、勝手に想像して決めつけるんじゃねえ。
Wait a second, don't imagine things and jump to conclusions.
男の子なら当然です。恥ずかしくないですよ。
It's perfectly normal for boys, nothing to be ashamed about. Rika not patting my head only made me feel worse.
ちょっとこの昼休みは爆睡させてくれ。
Could you just let me pass out this lunch break?
いや、ほんと、マジで。
No, seriously.
あら、私が黙って見過ごすとお思いで。
My, you think I would just sit here and allow that?
邪魔したら怒る。
I'll get really angry if you disturb me.
すごい怒る。
Really angry. This was just dreadful. Just so sleepy. I slumped my head onto the desk and drifted off into an afternoon nap. It seemed that Satoko had responded, but I pretended not to hear.
さとこちゃんやめなよ。
Cut it out, Satoko-chan.
ケイチくん寝ちゃった。
Keiichi-kun fell asleep.
寝顔かいい。
His sleeping face, so cute.
後でお持ち帰りしていいから。
You can take him home later.
そっとしときな。
Let him be for now.
向こうへ移動しましょうです。
Let's move over there.
ケイチにうるさいと悪いですよ。
It'd be rude to Keiichi if we bothered him now. Rika-chan really is a good girl.
先生が来ても起こさないであげましょうです。
Let's not wake him up even if the teacher comes back. I take that back. The excuse that I didn't sleep much last night because I was watching TV was a lie. I was in bed at the usual time, but because of the conversation with Oishi-san that afternoon, I didn't get much sleep. Just spending the day like this. It's almost as if the incident with Tomitaka-san didn't happen at all. It made me think, was Oishi-san just trying to deceive me? But it was probably the truth. One thing was certain, I couldn't speak to anyone about it. He wanted my assistance, but I really didn't know anything about it. If I knew I wasn't going to be of any help, I probably wouldn't have listened in the first place. It ended up with me again, regretting learning something I didn't need to know. If I had never learned about it, I would, without a doubt, be goofing off with the rest of them right now. I couldn't help but resent Oishi-san for that.
それっていつから？
What was that?
もう次の日にはいなかったって。
I heard he wasn't there the next day.
綿流しの晩に失踪したらしいよ。
It appears he vanished the night of the Watanagashi. Mion whispered to keep others from listening, but I could hear it clearly. On the other hand, Nana's voice was even harder to pick up. But I could still tell that she was quite upset. It couldn't be. Are they talking about Tomitaka-san?
さん、けなの？
Tomitaka?
わかんない。
Not sure.
私の知る限りではね。
That's all I know. I would have to feign ignorance about this topic because I needed to keep it a secret. Rather than waking up and being forced to lie to join in the conversation, it was much easier to just sit there and pretend I was asleep to listen in on their conversation. Wait, why did I have to pretend to be asleep while eavesdropping on my friend's conversation? The guilt stung.
で、他にもいるんでしょ？
So, me and the others are right?
か。
Too.
彼女がたたりにあったのか、鬼隠しにあったのかはわかんないけどね。
But they don't know if it's from the curse or if this was an Onikakushi. Onikakushi? Onikakushi. To be hidden away by a demon? What a mysterious phrase. I did, however, get the feeling it meant nothing good.
いや、何せよ。もう一人いるんだよね。
Well, there was another, right?
だよね。
Right?
お社様なら、ね。
If it's Yoshiro-sama's, yeah.
でも、今年は、出ないよ。
This year, the battle?
バッチャと村長さんが話してたんだけどさ。
Grandma and the mayor had talked about it.
今年は、事前に警察と話がつけてあるらしいんだよ。
Seems they talked to the police about it beforehand.
何が起こっても、騒ぎにしないで穏便に片付けるって。
They said they'd take care of whatever happens this year without causing a commotion.
じゃあ、レナたちが知らないだけで、どこかで誰かが、かもしれないってこと？
Then, without us knowing it, someone had them, you mean?
かもね。
Maybe.
次は、レナかな。
Next could me. I wonder.
安心しなよ。
Don't worry.
レナはちゃんと帰ってきたよ。
You got home safely.
でも、ダメだったんでしょ？
But is not allowed, right?
昔の話だよ。
It was a long time ago.
もうやめよ。この話。
Let's stop talking about this. Amidst the uncomfortable mood, both of them went silent. The entirety of the conversation was a bit unclear still, but a few parts caught my attention. First of all, the term Onikakushi, to be demoned away. By the context it was used in, I would guess it's similar to being spirited away. I suspected that was what it meant because Tomitaka-san and that woman, it really bugged me I didn't know her name, vanished after the Watanagashi. The next thing that stuck out was when Rena said, "There's another one, right?" Mion also said, "If it's Oyashiro-sama's, yeah," responding to something. If it's Oyashiro-sama's curse, then there had to be two victims. Is that what she meant? Come to think of it, I remember Mion saying at the beginning that they didn't know if it was from the curse or if it was a case of Onikakushi. It seems that the curse and being demoned away are different things, and they were phenomena that were paired together. I recalled Tomitaka-san's terrible end. That wasn't something as elegant as disappearing. That horrendous end would best be described as cursed. Then, the woman with him, it means she vanished because she was demoned away? What I do know is that there's normally an even number of victims of the curse proper. And the last point that bothered me was Rena. Rena was frightened. For what reason I didn't know. However, she knew that something had made her a potential target for Oyashiro-sama's curse. If I recall correctly, Oyashiro-sama should be the guardian deity of Hinamizawa. Isn't a guardian deity supposed to defend the citizens and drive out invaders? If I recall correctly, yesterday Oishi-san said that originally the targets were enemies of the village, but recently there was no longer any distinction between them or regular outsiders. But if that was the case, then I would think that I'd be more than likely the target, having moved here more recently than Nana. From her composure, I could infer that she was grimly certain that she would be next. I should probably relay what I heard just now to Oishi-san, informing the police of what I heard by eavesdropping on my friends while pretending to be asleep. It made me feel terrible. It raised a few questions and left me with a bad taste in my mouth. Would it be better not to seek the answers to those questions? As I continued to learn more and more, I felt I had fallen past the point of no return. I would definitely regret this one day. I would definitely regret ever having learned of these events.
先生が来るでございますわよ。
The teacher approaches. Keiichi-san,
起きなさいな。
you must awaken. In the distance, I could hear the ring of the handbell signaling the start of afternoon classes. I couldn't sleep at all. I hastily opened my eyes and raised my head up. It was in that moment when I leaned against the back of my seat. There was a thumbtack stuck on the back of my chair with tape. Circumstantial evidence was enough. Guilty without trial. Capital punishment. I furiously jumped up from my seat and tripped as if my feet were tangled up. My shoelaces had been tied together. Not bad, Satoko.
俺が寝ている間に気配を消してこれだけの上等をやってくれるだよ。
While I was sleeping, you were able to conceal your presence to pull off this fine piece of work. The teacher came in right as I was about to pull off my shoes and tackle Satoko.
先生が来ましたよ、ケイチさん。
Did you not notice our teacher has arrived, Keiichi-san?
着席遊ばせ。
Take your seat. Not caring one bit, I made her eat a flick up to the forehead.
ケイチさんがいじめた。
Keiichi-san is being mean.
こら、
Hey,
前原くん、下級生をいじめてはいけません。
don't pick on the younger kids, Maibara-kun.
謝りなさい。
Apologize to her. I saw Satoko stick her tongue out at me. Little brat!
ほら、前原くん、
Come on, Maibara-kun.
へいへい、謝りますよ。
Yeah, I'll apologize.
さとこさん、ごめんなさい。
Sorry, Satoko-san. In any case, I apologized, even if it was in a complete insincere tone of voice. Damn her, I'll remember this.
ケイちゃん、その恨みは部活でね。
Kei-chan, get your revenge at the club meeting.
着席。
Take your seat. I sat down after Mion told me to. She switched to class representative mode. With the boring classes finished, school was finally over for the day. Now then, what should we do for our club today? Personally, I would like to play that deduction game one more time. I was hardly able to play it last time because of Oishi-san. Nana and I weren't even able to test out our strategy.
そうだね。今日こそケイチくんと二人で大勝利だよね。
That's right. Today, Keiichi-kun and I will be victorious.
でもどうでしょうね。
But what should we do?
同じゲームを続けて2日やった試しはありませんし。
We've never played the same game 2 days in a row before.
ミーにお願いしてみたらどうでしょうです。
Why not try asking me? Mion looked over her shoulder as we made eye contact. She slowly tapped her palm with her fist as her face suddenly lit up.
いっけね。
Oops.
今日おじさんの手伝いの日だ。
I completely forgot. I need to go help my uncle today.
悪いみんな、今日なし。
Sorry guys, not today.
おじさんの手伝い？
Helping your uncle?
柄にもなく高校なやつだな。
Aren't you a little goody two-shoes?
悪い悪い。
Sorry, really.
ほんとすっかり忘れてた。じゃあごめんねみんな。
I really did forget. Well then, sorry guys.
今日はおじさんこれで帰るわ。
This old man is heading back home now. Mion left us with that and rushed off to the exit after snatching up her bag.
みーちゃんね、たまに街にあるおじさんのお店の手伝いに行くんだよ。
You see, Mi-chan, she sometimes goes to help out at her uncle's shop in town.
I thought she wasn't the type to get caught up in such bothersome stuff.
バイト代が出ると言ってましたですわ。
She said she gets paid for it.
結構なお小遣いになるらしいですの。
It's quite a bit of spending money from what I hear.
I see. She was able to pay for that mountain of games with what she saved up from there.
しかしそれはアルバイトと言うんじゃないのか？
But wouldn't you call that a part-time job?
校則で禁止されてないか？
Isn't that against school policy?
家事手伝いは除くと書いてありますです。
There's a clause that states household chores are excluded.
Is that what she's calling it? So what now? Pass on the club today?
じゃあ、今日はこれで解散かな
So, we're done today, I guess.
別に部長不在でもいいだろ
Won't it be fine even without the club president?
う。やろうぜ、部活。
Let's do this. I opened the club locker and began searching for the deduction game from that ever-growing pile of games.
お、あったあった。
Here it is.
昨日の推理ゲーム。
The deduction game from yesterday.
ようやくコツが分かってきたところで中断しちゃったからな。
Man, I had to stop just as I was getting the hang of it. At the very least, I wanted to repay Satoko for what she did during the afternoon break.
私は構いませんけど、
I do not mind.
レナさんとリカはどういたします？
But is that fine for Rena-san and Rika?
ケイチくんがどうしてもって言うなら、ちょっとだけいいかな。
If Keiichi-kun wants to so badly, I wouldn't mind playing for a bit.
僕はみんなが揃っての方がいいなと思いますです。
I think it's better if we do it when we have everyone together.
When she says it like that.
部活がないなら、僕はお買い物に行きたかったのです。
I wanted to go shopping if there wasn't a club meeting today.
お醤油とかを買いに行きますですよ。
Going to buy soy sauce and other things.
そうでしたわね。
Oh, that's right.
すっかり忘れてましたわ。
I completely forgot.
なら、レナも久しぶりに宝探しに行こうかな。
Well, I guess since it's been a while, I should go treasure hunting.
What's this now? Everyone was no longer in the mood for club activities. If I kept on trying to push the matter, it may make them realize I had a trick up my sleeve. Ah, well, I'll give up this time.
しゃこのゲーム楽しみにしていたのにな。
Man, I was really looking forward to playing it. I shuffled through the cards as if I was still caught up on it.
またの機会に叩きのめして差し上げましたよ。
At the next opportunity, I shall give you a sound thrashing.
犯人はサトコ。
The murderer is Satoko.
凶器はピストル。
The murder weapon is the pistol.
やはり貴様の仕業だったか。
It was you after all.
なんですって？
What did you say?
じゃあ。
Then I'll just...
Satoko looked through the cards on the desk and stuck out 3 of them at me.
犯人はケイチ。
The murderer is Keiichi.
凶器はロープで、犯行現場はラウンジですわ。
In the lounge with the rope.
ロープなんかいらねえ。
I don't need no rope.
このまま絞め殺してやら。
I'll just strangle you like this.
いや
No.
ケイチさんの毛玉な。
Keiichi-san is such a beast.
I guess it's good that I got that out of my system.
ケイチさん、覚えてらっし
I'll remember this, Keiichi-san.
ゃい。いっぱいいっぱいいたぶられましたですね。
She was used as a plaything for quite a while.
かわいそかわいそです。
You poor thing.
かいかい。
Cute, cute.
Everyone got ready to go back home. I also helped gather up the scattered cards. I suddenly paused. They were just the suspect cards, but I noticed something strange. Rena, Satoko, Rika, Keiichi, Mion, Satoshi. Satoshi? Not all the cards were made by us. Or at least every card besides this one has the name of a club member. Does this mean that this Satoshi fellow is a member? Was there someone in the class named Satoshi? I couldn't find anyone named Satoshi on the class roster stuck up on the wall.
ケイチくん、早く片付けよう。
Keiichi-kun, let's hurry and finish cleaning up.
Being rushed by Nana, I finished up quickly. Satoko and Rika-chan had already headed merrily for their lockers, so we were the only ones left in the classroom. Right now, Nana had already gotten her bag and was ready to leave.
レナ、やっぱりこのクラスからも転校で出て行っちゃった生徒って結構いるんだろ？
Nana, there must be quite a few people who transfer from the school, right? I tried asking Nana in a bit of a roundabout way. Nana made a troubled face and then answered.
うん。
Yeah,
ひなみ沢って田舎でしょ？
Hinamisawa is a rural town, right?
転校していっちゃう人も時々いるよ。
Some people transfer out every now and then.
じゃあこのサトシってやつも転校してったのか？
Then is Satoshi another one of those transferees?
ごめん、
Sorry,
よく知らないの。
I don't really know.
There was a bit of a pause, but the answer was pretty much immediate.
その、意地悪で言ってるんじゃないの。
I'm not saying it to be mean.
ちょうど去年、
Just last year,
レナが転校してきてから入れ替わりだったかな。
I transferred in, so maybe I just missed him.
だからあんまりお話ししたことないの。
So I didn't hear much about him.
ごめんね。
Sorry.
I'm not sure. Sorry. Her answer was a lot like when she refused to tell me about the murder at the dam. I was saddened by her denial and felt a little bit of anger. I'm their friend, aren't I? Friends don't keep secrets from their friends, do they? Though I do appreciate that they kept that unsettling curse thing from me. But if everyone is worried about it, I'd rather be worried with them. That's what it means to be friends, right? For a moment, I wondered what kind of face I was making just then, with these mixed feelings of sadness and annoyance.
ケイチくん、怖い顔してる。
Keiichi-kun, you're making a scary face.
なんでだろう、なんでだろう。
Why is it? Why?
It was probably exactly the kind of face Nana said it was. It appeared my grim expression had frightened her.
あ、ごめん。
Sorry.
今日の部活楽しみにしてたからさ。残念だっただけだよ。
I was really looking forward to club today, so I'm just feeling a bit down about it. I rustled in Rena's hair.
帰ろうぜ。
Let's go home. Dragging that awkward mood with us, we headed home. I wonder why. Why have I been getting this dumb feeling lately? I didn't know anything. I had nothing to worry about. I was just enjoying my everyday life. My long, outstretched shadow gave no answer to my naive inquiry.
ケイチくん、疲れてるのかなかな
Keiichi-kun, are you tired? Maybe? Maybe?
Nana timidly questioned the reason behind my mood. I'm sure my expression made this situation even more unsettling.
そうか？
You think so?
うん。
Yeah.
今朝からケイチくん、なんだか元気ないよ。
You seem to have been a little out of it ever since this morning.
風邪かな
Maybe a cold?
Physically, I was pretty sure I was in perfect health. It may not seem like it, but I've had perfect attendance since elementary school. Nana continued on since I didn't give her an answer.
きっとケイチくん、引っ越しの疲れが今になってきたんだよ。
It could be that the fatigue from moving has finally caught up to you.
前に住んでたところとは全然違うところだもん。
It's completely different from where you used to live after all.
いろいろ慣れたり覚えたり、疲れて当然だよ。
Of course you've gotten tired, since there's so much you need to get used to and remember.
そうなのかな？
Maybe that's it.
うん、
Yeah,
絶対にそうだよ。
it has to be.
レナも最初そうだったから。
Nana was also like that at first too.
わかるんだよ。だよ。
I can tell you know?
I wondered if Nana had also experienced the slight bit of alienation last year that I was feeling right now. Thinking so, I felt that she was the only one who could understand how I felt.
レナがひなみ沢に転校してきた時の話が聞きたいな。
I'd like to hear about when you first came to Hinamizawa.
どんなだった？
How was it? Feeling I had drawn into the conversation, her face suddenly brightened.
ケイチくんと同じだよ。
It was the same as Keiichi-kun.
人の名前も村の中も全然わかんなかった。
I didn't know the villagers' names at all.
みーちゃんとかが親切にしてくれたから全然寂しくなかったけど、やっぱり心細かったよ。
Mi-chan and the rest were all very kind, so I wasn't lonely, but I did still feel a little out of place.
Nana told me all the details of when she had moved here. All of her first acquaintances and surprises, worries and good times.
じゃあ、レナもサトコにやられたのかよ。
So, Satoko got you too?
うん。
Yeah,
椅子に座ろうとしたら画鋲が置いてあったの。
there was a thumbtack put on my chair.
どっさり。
Poke.
そしたらそれを
And with that, yeah,
懐かしいな。
that really takes me back.
ミオンの部活にはいつ頃誘われたんだ？
When were you invited into the club?
早速初日にか？
The first day?
うんうん。
Nah,
最初は部活なんてなかったんだよ。
there wasn't a club at the beginning.
途中からできたの。
It was formed partway through.
放課後にみんなで残ってゲーム大会をやろうって言い出して。
One day, she said we should stay after and hold a big game tournament.
そういえば、ミオン初代部長とか言ってたっけな。
Come to think of it, Mion did say she was the first club president.
納得。
Now I get it.
内緒だけどね。みーちゃん最初は弱かったんだよ。
This is a secret, but Mi-chan used to be really bad at the beginning.
全然勝てなかった。
She'd never win.
え？
Huh?
ミオンが？
Mion, really?
ちょっと想像つかないぞ。
I can't even imagine that.
自分で言い出した罰ゲーム、ほとんど自分でやってたんだよ。
She had to do most of the penalties that she came up with.
本当に内緒だからね。
Seriously, don't tell.
I can't believe Mion was like that. So she gradually transformed into a monster who used any means necessary to win during that time. Mion is at her best when she's fighting dirty.
みーちゃん以外ともちょっとずつお友達になれて。でも、
I began making more friends besides Mi-chan after that, but yeah.
ケイチくんが引っ越してきてからかな。
It might have only been since you moved here.
ようやくここに馴染めたって自覚したのは、
And I finally felt like I had gotten used to it here.
I guess Nana had also been left in the dark about Oyashiro-sama when she had just moved here. I guess when they finally told me about Oyashiro-sama, I'd be considered one of them.
俺はいつになったら仲間だと認めてもらえるんだろうな。
I wonder when I'll finally be considered one of them.
Huh?
なんて言ったの？
Did you say something?
あ、いや、ごめん。
No, sorry.
独り言。
Just talking to myself.
ケイチくん変なの。
Kate-kun, you're silly.
Nana was poking fun and laughing at me, and I couldn't help but laugh as well. But I suddenly stopped. Then, after making up my mind, I spoke.
なあ、レナ。
Hey, Nana,
みんなは俺に嘘や隠し事なんかしてないよな。
is there something that everyone is keeping from me?
Huh?
してないよ、全然。
No, not at all.
嘘だろ。
You're lying, aren't you? Nana suddenly stopped. Her expression was cold and intense.
どういう意味だろう。
What do you mean by that?
ケイチくん。
Kate-kun.
Her tone was still the same cheery and light-hearted one as before.
してるよな。
You are, aren't you?
俺に隠し事を。
Keeping something from me. After understanding what I meant, her expression grew even more intense. Seeing that face, I regretted saying something so rash. But she came back at me in a way I didn't expect.
じゃあさ、ケイチくん。
Well then, Kate-kun.
ケイチくんこそ、レナたちに嘘や隠し事をしてないかな。
Aren't you keeping something from us?
Huh? Her tone didn't change, but it was the first time I'd seen this expression from Nana. With how her gaze pierced through me, I couldn't believe this was the same Nana.
してないかな。
Aren't you?
嘘や隠し事。
Lies or
し
secrets?
てないかな。
Aren't you?
You are. Secrets? She didn't actually say that part, but she looked as if she did. The incident with Tomitaka-san, and how I felt alienated from the group. Even without having to think about it, there were things I knew that I felt guilty about. But I didn't tell everyone about what happened with Tomitaka-san to be considerate. I was keeping it a secret just the same way they didn't tell me about Oyashiro-sama. Then aren't we even?
してないよ。
No, I'm not.
嘘も
No lies.
隠し事も。
Nor secrets.
嘘だよ。
Liar.
Her answer was instant and it shook me. Nana stared as if burrowing through me, watching me like a hawk.
どうして嘘だって。
Why would you say I'm
ケ
lying?
イチくん、昨日の部活の時、先生に呼ばれて職員室に行ってたって言ったよね。
Didn't you say that you were called into the teacher's room yesterday during the club meeting, Kate-kun?
レナは知ってるよ。
I know.
ケイチくんは職員室になんか行かなかった。
You didn't go to the teacher's room.
I swallowed hard. It clearly wasn't a bluff. She knew what happened.
先生はお客さんが来たって言ったんだよね。
The teacher said you had a guest, didn't she?
でも、昇降口ではお話ししてなかった。
But you didn't talk at the entrance.
校門のところの車の中で話をしてたよね。
You talked inside of the car near the school gate
知らないおじさんと。
with some man we don't know.
Nana knew everything. She knew that I was called out by Oishi-san and that I heard about the incident with Tomitaka-san as well. Did she know all of it?
誰？あのおじさん。
Exactly who was that man?
知らない人だよ。
I don't know him.
知らない人がなんでケイチくんに用があるの？
Then why did someone you don't know have business with you?
俺が知りたいよ。
I want to know that myself.
じゃあ何の話をしていたの？
Then what did you talk about?
みんなとは関係のない話だよ。
It has nothing to do with you guys. It was a lie.
嘘だ！
Rena's scream echoed through the trees, sending frightened birds into the air. I couldn't exhale the deep breath I had just taken. No, it was like I wasn't allowed to exhale. It was here I first realized. The person in front of me, she wasn't Nana Ryugu. Then, who was it that was standing before me now? Who would assumed Rena Ryugu's appearance? I held my breath for so long, I could feel myself suffocating.
ね？
Right?
And then she made a facial expression that Rena normally might have made. It didn't matter that it was Rena's usual smile. It chilled me to the bone. She drew closer to me. I felt her breath against my face. It wasn't the least bit exciting. Whoever this was with Rena's face was going to chew my nose right off. I cowered as I imagined that. Then she smirked, as if she was able to see right through me.
圭一君に内緒や隠し事があるように、レナたちにだってあるんだよ。
We also have secrets, just like how Keiji-kun has secrets.
It was Rena's usual smile, but her eyes were still like that of a hawk's. Bringing her face close enough to mine to almost bump into my nose, she kindly persuaded me. I couldn't nod or shake my head. This person standing in front of me, the person who looked like Rena, frightened me to my core. I was terrified knowing that she could hear the sound of me swallowing nervously. After what felt like an eternity, after a long empty silence, she finally spoke.
行こう。
Let's go.
だいぶ涼しくなってきたよ。
It's getting chilly.
It was Rena again. Smiling at me once more, she started walking, as if nothing at all had happened. When I was released from her gaze, my legs gave out under me and I slumped onto the ground. I wasn't able to lift a finger until Rena was out of sight.
あれは誰だったんだよ。
Who was that? I felt cold. My body was drenched in sweat. I was finally able to form a coherent thought and asked myself once again, who was that person who looked like Rena Ryugu? I was out of it and couldn't bring myself to do anything until dinner except stare blankly into space. Was I terrified from Rena going off on me? No, that's not right. That was someone else who only looked like Rena. Then, who could it have been? It was a dreadful feeling, knowing that there was somebody else, not Rena. So tomorrow I shouldn't have a problem talking to Rena like I usually do. That thought was strangely comforting. I concluded that I should just calm down and clear my head, though those thoughts continued swirling around my mind. Finally, I returned to my senses as I heard my mother calling out to me from the bottom of the stairs.
ケイチ
Keiichi!
本屋さんから電話よ。
It's a call from the bookstore. Bookstore? Can't think of why they'd be calling me. I went downstairs and picked up the receiver
夜
anyway.
分遅くに申し訳ありません。
My apologies for calling so late at night.
私、沖宮書房の大石と申します。
It's me, Oishi, of the Okinomiya bookshop.
大石さん？
Oishi-san?
大石さんじゃないですか。
Oh, it's Oishi-san.
ごめんなさいね。
Sorry.
ご両親が出られたので、本屋さんということにしておきました。
Since your parents picked up, I said I was from the bookstore.
警察ですって名乗ると、いろいろ気分を害されるでしょうしね。
It puts people off when I say I'm a police officer. Oishi-san was, in his own way, rather courteous. Even so, I didn't want my parents hearing me talk to the police. I brought the cordless phone with me as I dashed up to my room on the second floor.
夜分遅くにすみませんですね。
Sorry for calling so late.
実は昨日渡した電話番号のメモ、あれ古い番号だったんです。
That phone number on the piece of paper I gave you yesterday was the old number.
本当に申し訳ない。
My apologies.
これから申し上げる番号を控えておいてもらえますか。
Can you copy down the number I'm about to give you?
はい。
Yeah.
どうぞ。
Okay. He gave me the number for his direct line as I wrote it down. I thought that was the end of it, but he began making pointless small talk, and it was pretty hard to hang up.
さて、どうでしょう、前原さん。
So, how has it been, my Bara-san?
何か変わったことはありましたか？
Did anything strange happen recently? I see. This was the real reason. He really beat around the bush there. His adult conversational skills left me slack-jawed.
大石さんはここの地元の方ですか？
Are you from around here, Oishi-san?
ええ、そうです。
Yeah, I
生
am.
まれも育ちも沖宮ですよ。
Born and raised in Onikakushi. If he's from around here, he might know.
大石さん、
Oishi-san,
鬼隠しって何のことか知ってますか？
do you know what this Onikakushi thing is about?
それはですね、人が鬼にさらわれ、忽然といなくなってしまうことなんです。
I believe that's when somebody suddenly vanishes because they've been abducted by a demon.
このあたり独特の言い回しですね。
It's a special saying from around here.
世間様で言う神隠しと同じ意味です。
It has the same meaning as spirited away like everyone else says. Whereas my friends would say they didn't know when I asked, this older man gave me a direct answer. It made me feel a bit happy that he answered me directly without trying to hide anything.
南沢は、前原さんにこんなこと言っていいんでしょうか。
Hinamizawa was... I'm not sure if I should tell this to you, my Bara-san.
もったいぶらないでくださいよ。
Don't try to play this off.
大石さんが言わないなら俺も何も言いませんよ。
If you're not going to talk, then I'm not going to tell you anything.
ああ、いやいや、
No.
そういう意味じゃないんですよ。ただその気を悪くされないかと思いましてね。
That's not what I meant. It's just, it may make you feel bad.
実はですね、南沢はその昔、鬼の住む里って呼ばれて恐れられていたんですよ。
You see, long ago, Hinamizawa was feared as the village where demons reside.
鬼？
Demons?
鬼って地獄にいる金棒を持ったあの？
By demons, you mean those pitchfork-carrying things in hell?
というよりは人食い鬼ですな。
More like human-eating monsters.
里に降りてきて人をさらって食い散らかしてしまう。
They'd go
怖い昔話があるんですよ。
down to villages, snatching people up and gobbling them down. That kind of tale. Demons snatching up people is what this Onikakushi really means.
たたりと鬼隠しは一緒に起こるって言ってましたけど、
They said that the curse and being demoned away happened together.
どういうことですか？
What does that mean? I already knew about the mysterious deaths happening 5 years in a row. But I didn't know there were people disappearing for those same 5 years.
たたりと鬼隠しが必ず一緒に？
Curse and being demoned away happened together?
それは初めて聞きました。
First time I've heard of that.
そうなんですか、前原さん。
Is that how it is, my Bara-san?
それは俺が聞きたいですよ。
That's what I want to know.
レナとミオンが話してたんです。お社様のたたりなら必ずたたりと鬼隠しが起こるって。
They said that if it really was Oyashiro-sama's curse, then both the curse and demoning away would happen. Oishi-san began hemming and hawing on the other end of the receiver. Maybe something about that came to mind?
前原さん、
Maibara-san,
最初の事件ご存知ですよね。
do you know the first incident?
バラバラ殺人。
Murder by dismemberment.
ええ、
Yeah,
6人の犯人のうち1人はまだ逃走中なんですよね。
one of the 6 perpetrators is still on the run, right?
例えばそれ、
Hypothetically,
逃走中じゃなく、鬼隠しにあったんじゃないでしょうかね。
what if he isn't on the run, but was demoned away? Huh? It was an outrageous hypothesis from Oishi-san. The incident 4 years ago was the particularly ghastly one. The police already knew the perpetrators, so they posted tons of wanted posters with his face on them. They staked out various locations and investigated every possible escape route he had. But after 4 years, there wasn't even a hint of where he might be. Unless the police were completely incompetent. Even if it was an outrageous hypothesis, I couldn't simply laugh it off.
じゃあその翌年の事故はどうです？
And what about the incident next year?
誘致派の男と妻が一緒に事故死したんですよね。
The man who supported the project and his wife both died in an accident?
実はですね、
Well, actually,
正式には事故死したのは夫だけなんです。
it was only the husband who died in an accident.
妻は死体が上がりませんでしたから。
His wife's body has never surfaced.
現行法では死体が発見されない限り行方不明扱いなんですよ。
Unless we find the body, then it's considered a missing person by law. At the time of the incident, with the river below the cliffs being muddy rapids, the police divers had searched every branch off the main stream of the river for dozens of miles, but in the end, they weren't able to find her body.
でも死体が見つからないだけで亡くなったんですよね。
But that's just them not being able to find a body. She's still dead, right?
鬼隠しとは違うんじゃないですか？
Isn't it different from her being demoned away?
死体が出ない以上、亡くなったとは言えません。
We cannot say someone is dead without their body.
法律で定めた年月が過ぎるまで生存扱いなんです。
Until a certain amount of years pass, by law, she's still treated as alive. I'm not sure if it was right to call that being demoned away. The wife is missing. At least that part was reality.
3年目はどうなんですか？
How about the third year?
神主は病死、
The Shinto priest died of illness,
妻は自殺ですよ。
and his wife committed suicide?
前原さん、
Maibara-san,
実はね、これも全く同じなんですよ。
that's actually the exact same scenario. His wife had supposedly thrown herself into the bottomless marsh deep in the forest around Hinamizawa, meaning it's all circumstantial evidence. They simply found her suicide note in front of the marsh. A diver was able to recover a few of her articles, but they weren't able to find a body. The investigative headquarters believed that she had faked her death and was still alive somewhere.
これらを鬼隠しと呼んでいいかちょっとわかりませんがね。
I'm not sure if we could refer to these cases as being demoned away.
前原さんの言う通り、確かに毎年一人行方不明になっています。
It's just as you said, every year one person does go missing.
今年の事件では富武さんの連れの女の人が行方不明。
The incident this year, the woman with Tomitaka-san has gone missing.
じゃあ去年の主婦の撲殺事件はどうです？
Then what about the incident with the housewife beaten to
誰
death?
か行方不明になりましたか？
Who went
確
missing?
か犯人は逮捕されたんですよね。
I believe the perpetrator was caught, right?
逮捕されてます。
Yeah, we arrested
以
him.
前に逮捕歴もあるやつでしてね、
He was just a miscreant with a record of narcotics abuse.
別件で取り調べ中に犯行を自供してます。
He admitted to the crime while being questioned about a different incident.
ですがですね、
But, you see,
犯人逮捕からしばらくして被害者宅の子供が行方不明になったんです。
after he was arrested, a child from the victim's home went missing.
犯罪に巻き込まれたのかどうなのか。
It's still under investigation
現在も捜査してます。
as to whether the disappearance had anything to do with the crime.
だって犯人は捕まったんですよね。
But you said you caught him, right?
それともその仲間が？
Did he have an accomplice?
さあ、多分単独犯だと思います。
No idea. It was most likely only the one
も
perpetrator.
っとも今では確かめようもないんですよ。
Moreover, we can't even check now.
実はその男、取り調べ中に拘置所内でお亡くなりになっちゃいまして。
Because, while under investigation, that man, he died in his holding cell. He swallowed a spork and choked to death. It's not known whether it was an accident or
つま
suicide.
り過去5年間必ず死者と行方不明者が一人ずつ出ているわけなんですよね。
Meaning, for the last 5 years, there's always one person who dies and one who goes missing?
そうなります。
That's about right.
ね、私も驚いていますよ。
No, actually, I'm surprised as well.
こんな共通項には気づきませんでした。
I never realized that they had that in common. I couldn't believe that this could help lead to the closing of those incidents. It was just something they had in common.
例えば鬼隠しにあって失踪した人には何か共通点があるとか。
Could it be that those demoned away has something in common? Oishi-san mumbled as he seemed to be thinking about it. So I summarized the events.
1年目はダムの作業員、
The first year was the dam employee.
2年目は誘致派の男の妻、
Second year was the wife of a dam project supporter.
3年目は神主の妻、
Third year was the wife of a Shinto
4年目
priest.
は被害者宅の子供で、5年目は交際相手かな。
Fourth year was the victim's family's child. And the fifth year was the victim's girlfriend, I guess.
特につながりはなさそうだし、
Doesn't seem like there's anything that connects them.
1年目はともかく、妻とか交際相手とか、そういう人が目立ちますな。
With the exception of the first year, wives and girlfriends, those two stand out. It does seem like there are a lot. Then that means the fourth year's victim's child was different. It would have really stood out if it was all married couples, except it's not just married couples, but parents and children as well. Come to think of it, I believe Tomitaka-san also told me the younger brother is alive and has moved, if I recall correctly.
4年目に行方不明になった子供ってどんなだったんですか？
The child that went missing in the fourth year, who were they?
おとなしい感じの方だったらしいです。
Apparently he was quite mature,
年はあなたの一つ上です。
1 year older than you.
名前は北条聡さん。
His name was Hojo Satoshi-san.
え？サトシ？
Huh? Satoshi? I remembered that name. Didn't they tell me Satoshi transferred out last year?
あなたの学校に去年まで通っていました。
He was at your school up until last year.
話を聞いていませんか？
Didn't they tell you anything about him? Come to think of it, when I transferred in, I believe they said my seat belonged to a recent transfer student. Then, where I sat once belonged to the one who was demoned away. It was his seat. I recalled the cold sensation that came from the desk. It made my hair stand on end. This string of mysterious deaths? No, Oyashiro-sama's curse. I now knew how it connected to me. That chilling sensation, it was the feeling of Oyashiro-sama caressing the back of my neck.
お社様のたたりか。
Oyashiro-sama's curse. Could Oyashiro-sama's curse really exist? In all honesty, I was beginning to believe it. And I was scared. That was why I wanted to say it was a plot crafted by a man and not the work of a curse. But the more I dug into it, the less likely that it seemed. No, the more I dug, the more mysterious it became. If I kept digging, eventually I'd reach the point where I'd learn something I really shouldn't know. To either be none the wiser or to seek the answer I might regret. Which one would I be happier with? Maybe it'll be me next time. My execution could only be delayed for 1 year. That was when I remembered. Nana. Nana said that she may be the next victim of the curse.
竜宮レナさんがですか？
You mean Rena Ryugu-san?
去年転校されてきた前原さんのクラスメートですよね。
She transferred in last year and she's your classmate, isn't she?
女の子には刺激の強い事件ばかりです。
These incidents really might be a bit too disturbing for a girl.
怖がるのも無理ないんじゃないでしょうかね。
She's not just scared, is she? It wasn't that. She said it might be her next. She said it in a way that made me think she had a concrete reason behind it.
もっと確信じみたものだったように思います。
It felt like she was convinced.
なんていうのか、
Almost as if, you could say, she was frightened. Her sudden change in demeanor. That someone who looked like Rena, but wasn't Rena. That might be unrelated. All the strange things that I felt from Rena today came back to me.
そうですか。
I see.
では、こちらでも少し調べてみます。
Then I'll be doing a bit of investigating on this end.
前原さんも少し竜宮さんの様子に注意してあげてください。
Please continue your observations of Ryugu-san, Maibara-san.
それは、レナを見張れってことですか？
Are you asking me to keep Rena under surveillance?
そんな意味ではありませんよ、前原さん。
That's not what I mean, Maibara-san.
お友達が次の被害者にならないよう、少し気にしてあげてほしいということです。
I just want you to watch out for your friend so that she doesn't end up the next victim. At that moment, just as my mouth was agape because I was so impressed with his mature, clever way with words. Knock, knock. A sudden knock at the door sent my heart racing. In an instant, I had pointlessly covered up the end of the receiver.
ケイチ、ちょっとここを開けてくれ。
Keiichi, get the door, please. On the other side of the door, I heard my father's oddly upbeat voice. What could it be? It's so late.
すみません、親父が来ました。
Sorry, my dad just
今
came
夜
in.
はこれくらいでいいですか？
Can we leave it at this for tonight?
ええ、
Yeah.
夜分遅くに本当に申し訳ありませんでしたね。
My apologies again for calling so late.
何かわかりましたら教えてください。
If you find out anything else, please let me know.
こちらも進展がありましたらご報告しますよ。
I'll tell you if I make any progress on this end.
では失礼します。
Well then, have a pleasant evening.
ケイチ、早く開けてくれ。
Keiichi, hurry and open up.
父さん、両手が塞がってるんだ。
Daddy's got his hands full. What is Dad doing? I had stayed in the same position while on the phone the whole time, so my joints were aching. When I opened the door, I saw my father was standing there with a tray. On that tray, cookies and 2 cups of black tea, a fairly fancy spread for our household. There was even sugar and lemon slices on the side. Everything you could ask for. This was quite the show of hospitality.
何父さ
What's going on, Dad?
ん、それ、何のつもりだよ。
What's all this for?
もう、はぐらかすなよ、ケイチ。
Come now, don't play around, Keiichi.
入るぞ。
I'm coming in. Dad was in high spirits and had a smirk on his face. But for my entire life, I've never seen him act this hospitable. What had gotten into him?
で、何の話をしてたんだ？
So, what were you talking about? I jumped. It's not something I had to keep from my father. But how could I explain to him I was talking to a detective, I'm assuming he was, this late at night?
別に何も。
Nothing much.
友達だよ。
Just a friend.
電話の話じゃなくて、
I don't mean the phone.
来てたんだろう、今。
She was here, wasn't she?
レナちゃんが。
Lena-chan.
来てないよ。
She wasn't here.
もう、ごまかさなくたっていいぞ。
Come now, don't try to keep it from me.
さっきレナちゃんが遊びに来てたじゃないか。
She just came over to play.
だいぶ話し込んでるみたいだったから、お茶でもって思ったら、すれ違いだったんだよ。
You two were chatting away, so I thought I'd bring some tea, but it looks like I just missed her. I had no idea what Dad was talking about, but a cold sweat dripped down my back.
どのくらい話し込んでたかな。
How long were we talking?
レナちゃんが2階に上がったのが半くらいだったから、小1時間くらいかな。
Nana-chan went upstairs about half after, so it was close to an hour, I guess.
2階に上がったの、父さん見たの？
You saw her come up to the second floor?
ああ、見たよ。
Yeah, I did.
圭一の部屋は階段を上がって奥の扉だよって声もかけた。
I also told her that your room was the door down the hall up the stairs. Nana came to my house about an hour ago. Dad met her at the door and called out to me on the second floor. I probably didn't hear him because I was so focused on my conversation with Oishi-san. I didn't reply, but he knew I was in my room, so he had her come inside. Then told her my room was on the second floor. She thanked my dad and went upstairs. Then about an hour passed. She passed by my dad just as he was bringing up tea and left. She came upstairs and about an hour passed. Then passed by my dad and returned home. Then after she came upstairs and until she left, where was Nana? There's only a short hallway between my room and the stairs, meaning Nana had for about an hour in the hall. No, she couldn't have been standing in front of my door all that time. The door to my room wasn't particularly thick. You could easily hear everything being said inside. All the unsettling and unguarded things I spoke to Oishi-san about began rushing through my head.
お父さん、あまりからかっちゃダメよ。
Honey, don't tease him.
それより、アトリエを片付けて。
More importantly, you need to clean up your studio.
またこぼすわよ。
It's a mess again. Mom yelled up at Dad from downstairs. Dad left the tray with me and went downstairs with a disappointed chortle. I followed my dad out of the room with my eyes, looking down at the floor around the hallway where Nana May had stood all that time. Just now, as I was talking to Oishi-san, with my back turned, Nana was standing a mere 6 feet away. The whole time? All that time, in this dimly lit doorway. What did she see? What did she hear? For what reason? As the steam from the 2 teacups ominously wafted and twisted, the aroma of black tea filled my room. Notice from the police chief. July 1st, 1982. To Departments 1 through 12. X-Prefecture of Police Headquarters. Director General X. To the Chief Constable and all facility managers. Regarding cases situated in the Hinamizawa village, notice. As cases in Shishibona City, Hinamizawa village have been reported by certain sections of mass media. It has drawn global attention, which is causing serious repercussions for the local residents. This has become a very serious situation. To protect the livelihood and prosperity of the residents, the following notice has been issued. 1. Designate the following criminal investigations as classified. Okinomiya Station, 1982, case number X. Hinamizawa Village, housewife murder, dated June X. Okinomiya Station, 1982, case number X. Hinamizawa Village student disappearance, dated June X. 2. Non-disclosure of information. Okinomiya, 1979, case number X. Hinamizawa Village, site foreman murder, dated June X. Shira Station, 1980, case number X. Shirakawa Natural Park falling incident, dated June X. Okinomiya Station, 1981, case number X. Hinamizawa Village, Shinto priest's wife's disappearance, dated June X. 3. Requesting self-restraint from each organization concerning the release of sensitive information. Please see attached reference materials 1, 2, and 3. Management, Ex-Prefecture Police Headquarters. Internal line. Police Affairs Department, X. That is all for today's episode of Higurashi When They Cry Onikakushi. Thank you so much for watching. Consider hitting the subscribe button. Have a great rest of your day.